The Galactic Council chamber was built to hold thousands. Its ceilings were so high that sound took a moment to travel, and its walls were filled with glowing symbols from hundreds of alien languages. Representatives from every major world sat in a great circle, watching each other with suspicion. The air was heavy with expectation. 4 days, they had spoken about Earth, about humanity, and now the whispers were always the same: the humans are finished. Some aliens nodded as if it was already fact. Others repeated it like a prayer, trying to calm their own fears. Humanity had suffered. Humanity had been cut off. Humanity was silent. To the Council, silence meant defeat. It meant that Earth had accepted its punishment and would fade away like so many other young species before them. But even in the silence, there was unease. The Council's leader, a tall creature with skin like molten glass, raised its long fingers and spoke. Earth has given no answer. Their colonies are broken, their ships are destroyed, their people are scattered. They are weak. Let us move forward. Let the galaxy forget them. Across the chamber, voices agreed. The echoes of yes, yes, bounced like waves in the hall. But in one corner, an alien delegate leaned forward. Its eyes were dark, its voice sharp. No answer does not mean no strength. Do not forget who humans are. They are not quiet by nature. If they are silent now, it is not grief. It is something else. Others laughed. Humans are defeated. Their silence proves it. Yet still, doubt lingered. And while the Council argued, far away, deep in the cold dark between the stars, strange things began to happen. On the edges of known space, scanners picked up signals, patterns that no alien codebreaker could understand. The signals were not random, but they were not language either. They repeated, sometimes for hours, sometimes for days, then disappeared without warning. Each time, they came from a different region of space, as if moving, as if spreading. At first, the Council dismissed it. Static. Noise. Meaningless. But the patterns continued. And with each appearance, they grew stronger. In a mining station orbiting a dead world, a group of alien workers watched the stars flicker with light. It was not natural. The light pulsed in perfect rhythm, like a heartbeat. What is that? One asked. None could answer. Some whispered that it was human-made, but they did not dare report it. To say such things was dangerous. To say such things gave humanity power. But the rumors spread anyway. On trading routes, in black markets, on backwater moons, everyone began to whisper the same story: the humans are speaking through the stars. The Council could not ignore it anymore. They gathered again in the chamber. Holoscreens showed the recorded patterns. Strange lights, strange codes, strange rhythms. Delegates argued, voices rising into shouts. It is human technology. Impossible. Their fleets are gone. Perhaps not all of them. Perhaps this is something older, something hidden. And in the middle of the storm of voices, fear began to grow. For the humans, silence had not been surrender. It had been planning. While the galaxy mocked them, while the Council declared them broken, humanity had worked in shadows. They did not send threats. They did not send promises. They sent signals. Signals that carried no words, no explanations, only patterns that no alien mind could understand. This was not weakness. This was strategy. In the heart of Earth, far beneath the ruins left by blockade and war, humans worked in secret. Their leaders knew the galaxy watched them, waiting for signs of fear, waiting for signs of desperation. So they gave the galaxy nothing. They gave silence. And while the galaxy waited, humans built. Children learned in underground schools. Engineers repaired ships hidden in asteroid belts. Soldiers trained in silence, far from Council eyes. And scientists worked on something greater, something that touched the stars themselves. When the first signal went out, not even humanity fully understood if it would be noticed. But it was. It reached scanners, traders, criminals, explorers. It reached those who had forgotten Earth but had not forgotten human courage. And slowly, the silence became noise. Back in the Council chamber, panic began to stir. We must stop them now, one delegate shouted. If we wait, if we hesitate, humanity will rise again. But others hesitated. For in their own hearts, they remembered what humanity was capable of. This was the species that had adapted faster than any other, the species that survived cold worlds, burning worlds, empty worlds. This was the species that had stood against stronger empires and lived. Silence was never their nature. Silence was a choice. Far away, a lonely alien captain drifted in her ship near the edge of a star system long abandoned. She leaned forward as her sensors lit up. The signal had appeared again, this time stronger, sharper. She listened. Her people had studied human voices for centuries. This was not words. But in the strange rhythm, she thought she heard something. A pulse. A breath. A heartbeat. The captain's skin chilled. She whispered to herself, "They are alive. And they are not done." She tried to report it, but the council silenced her. They silenced anyone who spread such stories. Yet the truth was already loose, carried by smugglers, pirates, and travelers. The galaxy believed Earth was silent, but the stars told a different story. Soon, entire worlds began to see it. Strange constellations lit up in places no star should shine. Lines of light that seemed to draw pictures in the dark. Some said it was art. Some said it was a code. But one thing was certain, it was human. The council panicked. Fleets were ordered closer to Earth. Patrols doubled. But fear does not erase truth. The galaxy had seen the lights, heard the signals, and felt the silence crack. For silence is powerful, but only when it lasts. And humanity had decided the time for silence was ending. A human commander stood in the shadows of a secret base, watching screens filled with alien transmissions. They believed Earth was weak. They believed Earth had no answer. She smiled faintly. The galaxy had no idea what was coming. And in that moment, she whispered words only her crew could hear. "Let them think we are broken. Let them think we are silent. The stars will speak for us. And when the time comes, they will listen." Outside, in the endless black, the signals pulsed once more, louder, brighter, sharper than before. The galaxy trembled. Humanity had not begged. Humanity had not surrendered. Humanity had waited. And now, the silence was ending. The council chamber was restless. The silence of Earth still weighed heavy, but now there was something new, something no one could ignore. The signals. They came without warning, from places spread far across the galaxy, always shifting, always strange. No one could explain them. No one could break them. The patterns were not like any known language, and yet they felt deliberate. Rumors spread faster than any official report. On distant colonies, traders spoke of lights that pulsed in rhythm across the stars. In shadowed taverns, smugglers swore that human voices had been heard in the static of deep space channels. On frontier stations, miners told each other that the humans had found a way to command the stars themselves. Each story grew, twisted, and spread until no one knew what was real anymore. Inside the council, fear and arrogance clashed. Some shouted for war. Others demanded patience. "The humans are trying to frighten us," one delegate barked. "This is a bluff. Nothing more." But even as he spoke, his hands trembled. Across the chamber, another delegate whispered, "What if it is not a bluff? What if this is only the beginning?" The debate roared. Voices rose like thunder. But far away, humanity stayed silent. No speeches. No broadcasts. No threats. Only the patterns, moving, changing, multiplying. In the void, an alien exploration ship caught one of the signals directly. The crew gathered around their screens, watching strange waves of light ripple across their monitors. At first, it was noise, confusing and sharp. But slowly, as the minutes passed, they began to see something, lines forming, circles repeating, shapes building on each other until the crew gasped. It was not random. It was a design. A star map. A star map shaped by human hands. The captain of the vessel locked the data away, but whispers still escaped. The map pointed to places long forgotten, regions of space the council had abandoned centuries ago. Why there? Why now? No one could answer. But the thought spread, humanity was not just alive, they were searching. And whatever they searched for, they were finding. The council grew desperate. Secret fleets were dispatched to follow the signals, to chase the rumors. But every time they arrived, there was nothing. Empty space. Silent stars. Only the fading echo of the patterns, as if humanity had been there only moments before, watching, waiting, and then gone again. On a cold moon deep in the outer rim, a band of alien mercenaries gathered. They had been hired by unknown hands to hunt for the source of the signals. Their leader, scarred and sharp-eyed, laughed as he told his crew, "Humans are finished. They have no fleets. They have no armies. All they can do is whisper through the dark. And whispers do not kill." But later that night, as they watched the horizon, the sky above them filled with lights. Not stars. Not meteors. Lights moving in perfect rhythm, stretching across the black, forming a symbol none of them understood. The mercenaries did not laugh then. They stood frozen, their weapons useless, as the heavens themselves seemed to speak. Back on Earth, hidden in underground cities and secret stations, humanity watched the panic spread. They did not rush. They did not reveal themselves. Their silence was still their weapon. Every alien that feared, every alien that doubted, was another victory. For the galaxy believed Earth would grieve quietly. But Earth had chosen a different path. The signals were not only warnings. They were invitations. Humanity had reached into the void, sending messages not to the Council, not to their enemies, but to the stars themselves. Old machines, forgotten probes, dormant systems, things left behind long ago were awakening. The signals were keys, unlocking doors that had been closed for centuries. Aliens called it madness. Others called it genius. But the truth was simple. Humans had never been silent. They had been speaking in a language no one else could hear. And now, for the first time, the galaxy was beginning to understand. In a hidden chamber, deep beneath a ruined city on Earth, a human leader stood before her people. Her voice was calm, but her eyes burned with fire. "They think we are finished. They think silence means defeat. Let them think it. Let them believe it. While they argue, while they doubt, we prepare. And when the time comes, the stars themselves will carry our voice." Her words were met with silence, not because her people feared, but because they understood. They had been silent for so long that silence had become their strength. Now, it was turning into something greater, something that shook the galaxy itself. And as the Council argued in fear, as traders spread stories, as mercenaries stared at skies filled with unnatural light, humanity waited. The silence was ending, but the answer had not yet come. The galaxy still believed Earth would fade into memory. But every signal, every flicker, every whisper in the dark said something else. Humanity was rising. Humanity was watching. Humanity was speaking through the stars. And the galaxy had no idea what the next signal would bring. On the far edge of the Orion Arm, a lonely alien outpost kept watch over empty space. The world it orbited was nothing but ice and stone, forgotten by most. The station's crew had grown used to boredom. They monitored trade routes, checked scans, and waited for orders that never came. But one night, something strange appeared on their sensors. At first, they thought it was a glitch. The screens flickered with patterns of light, faint at first, then stronger. The officers leaned closer. The patterns were not random. They pulsed in rhythm, like a heartbeat. One of the younger crew members whispered, "It looks alive." The captain dismissed him, but inside, her hands shook. The patterns grew clearer. Then, through the windows of the outpost itself, the stars began to shift. The sky lit up. Not with natural constellations, but with something new, something deliberate. Points of light appeared one by one, like candles being lit in the darkness. Slowly, they formed shapes, lines, patterns across the night. It was not the hand of nature. It was the hand of intelligence. It was human. The outpost went silent. No one moved. Every officer stared at the impossible sight. For centuries, they had studied human ships, human weapons, human tactics. But this was different. This was art written across the heavens. A message, not in words, but in light. The captain finally spoke, her voice thin and tight. "Send this to the Council. At once." The report reached the Council chamber within hours. By the time it played across the massive holoscreens, hundreds of alien delegates were already arguing. The chamber filled with gasps as the images appeared. The stars above that cold world now carried a message that only humanity could have created. "What does it mean?" one alien demanded. "It is a challenge," another hissed. "No," a third replied softly, "it is proof. Proof they are not finished." The council fractured. Some demanded immediate retaliation. Fleets should be sent to Earth, they said, before humans could grow stronger. Others warned against it. What if this is only the beginning? What if they have already spread beyond what we can see? In the shadows of the chamber, fear began to spread like fire. Meanwhile, far beneath the surface of Earth, humans gathered in secret halls lit by dim lamps. Screens flickered with alien broadcasts stolen from across the galaxy. The people watched as delegates shouted, panicked, argued. Their silence had worked. Their signals had reached the stars. And now, the galaxy trembled. Among them stood a human scientist, one of the architects of the signals. His voice was steady as he explained to his comrades, "We are not sending words. Words can be broken, twisted, ignored. We are sending patterns. Patterns are eternal. Patterns live in the stars. No matter how much they fear us, no matter how much they deny us, they cannot erase the lights in the sky." His words were met with nods and quiet determination. The people of Earth knew their plan was working. But the signals were not only symbols. They carried hidden meaning, buried deep within their rhythms. Old machines, hidden in asteroid fields and abandoned stations, woke from their slumber when the signals touched them. Probes launched centuries ago flickered to life. Forgotten satellites shifted their orbits. Across the galaxy, pieces of humanity's past began to awaken. On one distant moon, an ancient human beacon lit up for the first time in generations. Its light cut across the darkness, strong and clear. An alien patrol, passing nearby, spotted it. They scanned it, tried to erase it, but the beacon did not stop. Its code was simple, unbreakable, unending. A single phrase repeated again and again, in a language every alien could understand: "We are here." The message spread quickly. Smugglers told it in hushed voices. Traders carried it between systems. Soldiers heard it whispered in their barracks. The humans had spoken. Not with begging, not with fear, but with certainty. "We are here." The council tried to bury the news. They silenced reporters, locked away records, even destroyed ships that carried the signals. But it was too late. Once the stars had spoken, the galaxy could not unsee them. For the first time, doubt began to crack the certainty of alien power. For the first time, the galaxy wondered, if humans could make the stars speak, what else could they do? And on Earth, as silence still held, a commander stood before her people, her eyes fixed on the glowing patterns across the sky. She spoke only one sentence, her voice steady, filled with iron. They thought silence meant defeat. Now silence means victory. The people of Earth cheered, not loudly, not wildly, but with quiet, unshakable strength. They knew the truth. The galaxy had seen the first human light. And it was only the beginning. The council chamber was louder than it had ever been. Voices rose, clashed, and echoed off the tall crystal walls. Delegates pointed, shouted, accused, and pleaded. The stars had betrayed them. The humans had betrayed them. Every corner of the galaxy now whispered the same thing: humanity was not finished. The holoscreens replayed the lights again and again. The strange constellations humans had carved into the night sky burned bright above the delegates, a reminder of what they could not explain. The patterns moved with purpose, flowing like rivers of fire, stretching across the blackness of space. No matter how long they stared, the council could not find weakness in it. They could not deny what they were seeing. A tall reptilian delegate slammed his clawed hand against the table. "This is a threat. We must strike Earth before it is too late." His words echoed through the chamber. Several voices shouted in agreement. Fleets should move at once. The humans should be erased before their silence grew into thunder. But another voice, soft and trembling, rose from the shadows. "And what if it is already too late? What if these lights are not warnings, but proof? Proof that humans have already spread where we cannot reach?" The hall grew restless. Some hissed. Others shook their heads. The idea was too dangerous, too terrifying. But in their hearts, many felt the same fear. A crystalline delegate with a voice like breaking glass leaned forward. We underestimated them once. Do not underestimate them again. They survived every punishment we gave them. They adapted when others would have fallen. If their silence has hidden their strength, then perhaps they are stronger now than ever before. The chamber erupted again, each word like thunder against thunder. Some called for extermination. Others demanded negotiation. Some whispered of retreat. The council was fracturing, and every alien present knew it. While they argued, the galaxy outside whispered louder. Traders refused to pass near Earth's borders. Pirates spoke of human ghosts that drifted between stars. On remote worlds, children stared at the sky and asked their parents what the new lights meant. No answer could quiet them. And all the while, more signals appeared. Faster, brighter, sharper. On a border world, a team of alien scientists worked night and day to decode the newest pattern. They fed it through machines, tore it apart, studied every rhythm. And at last, one of them froze. The lines, the shapes, they were not random. They were ships. Human ships. Blueprints written across the sky. The scientists did not sleep that night. Some refused to believe it. Some refused to admit it. But when the report reached the council, fear turned to panic. The humans were not only speaking through the stars. They were showing the galaxy what was coming. Back on Earth, beneath ruins and shadows, humanity watched. They saw the council shout, argue, fear. They saw the galaxy tremble at signals no one could stop. Their leaders spoke quietly among themselves. They are divided, one said. They do not know what to do. Another replied, that is the answer. Division is our weapon. Their fear is our shield. Humanity had no need to fight yet. They did not need great battles or loud declarations. Every flicker of light in the sky, every signal, every rumor, was enough to turn the galaxy against itself. The silence was winning. But silence would not last forever. Far away, an alien fleet patrolled near Earth's edge. Their commanders believed humans would eventually reveal themselves. The soldiers were restless, watching the stars, waiting for ships that never came. One young officer stared at the black horizon. Then, slowly, lights appeared. Not ships. Not meteors. Lights in rhythm, forming shapes above them. He whispered, his voice shaking, they are watching us. The captain ordered the fleet to advance, but the lights vanished as quickly as they had appeared. The soldiers returned to their stations, but none could forget what they had seen. The humans had not fired a weapon. They had not moved a single fleet. But they had left the soldiers trembling. Back in the council, voices broke into chaos again. Some shouted for peace, desperate to end the fear. Others demanded war, desperate to end the silence. And some said nothing at all, staring at the holoscreens, wondering if humanity was already listening to every word. The truth was simple. The galaxy had believed Earth would remain silent. But the silence had become a weapon. And the weapon was working. Humanity did not need to shout. Humanity did not need to beg. Humanity spoke through the stars, and the stars themselves had become their voice. The council could not agree. The galaxy could not sleep. And the humans only waited. Far from the crowded council chamber, in the quiet places of the galaxy, old machines began to stir. They were relics, forgotten by most, hidden in the dust of dead moons and drifting in the shadows of empty systems. For centuries they had been silent, powerless, abandoned. But now the signals had reached them. The strange rhythms humans were sending carried codes older than most civilizations in the council itself. The codes were keys, and with each pulse, another lock turned. On a barren asteroid field, an ancient human construct opened its eyes. Its body was rusted, scarred by meteors and time, but deep inside its core, fire burned again. Blue light spread through its veins as power returned. It moved slowly at first, shaking free centuries of silence, then rose into the void. Its systems remembered their purpose. They had been built to wait. They had been built to sleep until humanity called them. And now humanity had spoken. The first reports came from smugglers. They swore they had seen giant machines moving through the dark, carrying human markings no living person had ever seen before. The council dismissed them at first, calling them lies, calling them fear. But then came proof. A patrol fleet near the rim encountered one of the machines head-on. The alien commander ordered an attack. Their weapons fired, lighting the void. The blast struck the machine's body, but it did not fall. It did not even slow. It simply turned, opened its chest, and released a burst of light so powerful that the entire fleet went blind. When vision returned, the machine was gone. Only silence remained. The council could no longer laugh. In the chamber, the delegates stared at the reports in dread. Old archives were opened, and in those archives, they found records. Long ago, humans had spoken of sky machines, great engines built not for conquest, but for survival. Machines that could drift for centuries, waiting to be called. The council had thought them myths, human exaggerations. But now the myths had woken. "This is impossible," one delegate shouted. "No species could build such things." Another answered, voice trembling, "No species but humans." The chamber fell into chaos again. Some demanded every fleet be sent to destroy the machines. Others warned that such attacks would fail. And a few, their voices quiet but sharp, whispered the truth no one wanted to admit: if one machine has awakened, then there are more. They were right. On the far side of a red dwarf star, another construct lit up. Its body was shaped like a spear, long and sharp, built to pierce through anything that dared to oppose it. On a lonely moon near the galactic rim, a machine shaped like a shield woke, spreading energy across its surface, forming barriers stronger than any warship. And in the silence of deep space, in the shadows between galaxies, machines larger than cities opened their eyes, their lights burning like suns. The galaxy trembled. The whispers grew louder. Humanity had not been silent in defeat. Humanity had been silent in waiting. Waiting for the time when their forgotten weapons could rise again. On Earth, in the hidden chambers beneath broken cities, leaders gathered around glowing screens. They watched as reports came in from spies, from stolen transmissions, from the whispers of frightened aliens. The council was in panic. The galaxy was in fear. Humanity smiled. One commander leaned forward, speaking softly to his people. The council thought we were weak. They thought silence meant surrender. But silence has always been our shield. Now, the sky itself is our sword. The room fell quiet. Every man and woman there understood what he meant. The old machines were not enough to win a war alone, but they were enough to remind the galaxy of what humans could do. They were enough to plant terror in every heart. They were enough to give humanity time. Because time was all they needed. In the council chamber, the arguments turned desperate. One delegate slammed the floor with a heavy fist. "We must unite. If we do not strike now, if we do not end them, then soon it will be too late. Humanity will rise, and when they rise, they will not stop." Another shook their head. "You do not understand. Humanity has already risen. We are too late already." And outside the chamber, across 1,000 worlds, people looked up at the night sky. Some saw strange lights, pulsing and shifting where no stars should be. Some saw shapes, massive and dark, drifting between constellations. Some swore they heard a hum, low and endless, like the voice of something waking from sleep. The whispers spread again. They called the machines ghosts. They called them giants. But more and more, they called them by one name: the Forgotten. And everywhere, one truth became impossible to deny. Humanity had not disappeared. Humanity had not fallen. Humanity had remembered. And the galaxy would never be the same again. The fleets held their breath. Neither side fired. Neither side moved. The void itself seemed frozen, as though time refused to pass. The alien armada, so vast it could blot out constellations, stood paralyzed before the human formation that had risen from silence. To the council, this was the moment they had long feared but never believed possible. Humanity was not broken. Humanity was not gone. Humanity was answering. The lights in the human fleet began to shift again. Not random this time. Not scattered pulses or signals. They moved together, across thousands of ships and ancient machines, burning in perfect harmony. The alien commanders stared in disbelief as the lights formed shapes across the darkness. Letters. Words. Not alien language. Not council tongue. Human. Billions across the galaxy watched as the human message stretched across the sky, carved from light and fire. It was simple. It was sharp. It was unforgettable. We remember. The council chamber erupted in chaos. Delegates screamed over one another, some demanding retreat, others begging for peace. A few shouted for war, but even their voices cracked with fear. To them, the words carried more weight than any weapon. Humanity had not only survived, they had remembered everything, the betrayals, the exiles, the suffering forced upon them. And now they were strong enough to speak through the stars themselves. On Earth, hidden beneath the old cities, survivors stared up at the message burning in orbit. Tears filled their eyes. For generations, they had lived in silence, forgotten, abandoned, believing themselves alone. But now, the sky shouted the truth, they were not alone. Their people had returned. Their voice had returned. Alien soldiers in the council fleets trembled. They whispered to one another, asking the same question again and again, what do the humans remember? No answer came, but they already knew. The humans remembered every wound, every exile, every injustice. The human fleet remained motionless, but the message changed again. New words lit the void. We are ready. A wave of silence spread through the alien ranks. Some ships lowered their weapons. Some powered down entirely. Their captains could feel it, the weight of those words pressing on their hearts. Humanity was not asking for peace. Humanity was not threatening war. They were simply declaring readiness. That was worse than any threat, because it left no room for doubt. Council leaders shouted in panic. Attack now. Destroy them before they act. But their own fleets no longer listened. Discipline cracked. Unity shattered. For the first time in countless generations, fear ruled the council soldiers. They saw no victory in battle, only death. The human machines shifted once more. Great constructs the size of moons raised their arms toward the alien armada. Shields glowed like suns. Weapons hummed with power, but they did not fire. Instead, the light spread farther, expanding into the void until the council fleets were drowning in its brilliance. To the galaxy, it looked as if humanity had wrapped the stars themselves in fire. And then the humans finally spoke. Not in voice. Not in sound. But in a single broadcast that reached every ship, every world, every corner of the galaxy. The language was simple. Translated instantly. Unmistakable. You thought silence meant fear. You thought exile meant defeat. You were wrong. We are humanity. And we have returned. The words echoed through alien minds like thunder. Some dropped to their knees in fear. Others shouted in rage. But all of them listened. The council armada broke. First one fleet fled, then another. Soon entire factions abandoned the battlefield, retreating to their home systems. They had come to crush Earth. Now they ran from it. The commanders who remained stared at the burning sky and realized the truth. The humans did not even need to fire. Their voice alone was a weapon. On Earth, cheers rose from the underground cities. Generations of silence shattered in a single night. The people cried out with joy, their voices rising to meet the message in the sky. And across the galaxy, a new fear was born. Humanity had spoken through the stars, and the stars had listened. The silence was gone forever. The answer had been given. The galaxy was not the same after that night. The words burned into the stars echoed across every world, every station, every ship. Humanity's voice, once thought erased, now lived inside the minds of all who had heard it. Some tried to deny it. Some tried to forget it. But the memory clung like fire to dry wood, impossible to extinguish. In the council chamber, silence lingered far longer than ever before. The delegates who once shouted for humanity's exile now sat in fear, unable to meet each other's eyes. The strongest empires, the loudest voices, all found their tongues bound. Finally, one delegate whispered, "If they are ready, then no one is safe." But another voice answered, trembling yet sharp, "No, no one is free." Outside, the galaxy wrestled with the same choice. On wealthy core worlds, people gathered in the streets, demanding that their leaders end hostilities with Earth. They did not want war with a species that could turn the night sky into words. On poorer colonies, whispers spread of rebellion. Some said the council had awakened a storm it could never control. Others said it was better to kneel now than burn later. Still, there were those who refused to bow. Factions of the council swore they would never bend to humans. They poured resources into fleets, forged weapons sharper and stronger, promising their people that humanity could still be crushed if struck swiftly enough. They tried to rally the galaxy with calls of unity, but fear cracked every speech, and hesitation stained every promise. Meanwhile, the humans moved with precision. They did not conquer. They did not demand surrender. Instead, they spoke again, not through words, but through action. Their fleets appeared above forgotten colonies abandoned by the council, bringing food, medicine, and power. On worlds where the council had turned away, the humans gave aid. Where others had seen weakness, humanity saw allies. The message was clear: humanity was not just returning for themselves. They were returning for everyone the council had cast aside. Whispers turned into loyalty. Small worlds began swearing allegiance to Earth. Whole sectors declared neutrality, refusing to fight against humanity. Soldiers in the council fleets deserted, their ships vanishing into the void, later seen flying alongside human convoys. The great wall the council had built against Earth was breaking from within. The council grew desperate. Their last meeting before the collapse was chaos. Some shouted to negotiate. Others demanded extermination. One delegate cried out, "Do you not see? We are already defeated." Every star that hears their voice bends toward them. Another slammed the table, roaring, "Then we burn the stars themselves." But even as they fought, the decision was slipping from their hands. Because humanity had already chosen. Above Earth, the fleet stood in perfect formation, but they no longer waited in silence. They sent a final broadcast, not only to the council, but to the entire galaxy. It was not a threat. It was not a plea. It was a declaration. We are not your prisoners. We are not your exiles. We are not your silence. We are your future. Choose now, stand with us, or be swept aside by history. The words spread like wildfire. Worlds answered within days. Some bent their knees, swearing loyalty to humanity's rising voice. Others begged for alliance, terrified of being left behind. Only a handful swore resistance, but even they knew their fate was sealed. For the first time in galactic history, the Council's power crumbled. Its authority shattered. Its fleets scattered. And in its place, a new order began, not by conquest, not by chains, but by the strength of a people who had survived silence and turned it into a weapon. On Earth, the survivors looked to the sky and saw hope burn where once there had been only darkness. In the distant colonies, forgotten peoples whispered a single truth: the galaxy would never again decide humanity's fate. Humanity had spoken for itself. The silence was over. The stars had answered. And from that day on, every world knew the same truth: humanity had returned, and nothing, not fear, not exile, not war, could silence them again.